This is PJNET.TV, and this is my perspective and comments. In this video segment of My Perspective and Comments, we cover politics, society here and abroad, and the events of the day that are shaping our nation. PJNET.TV, My Perspective and Comment, coming to you with a worldview, one nation under God. Welcome to My Perspective and Comments. And I'd like to start out here with what's been going on it's going on the second month between Russia and Ukraine, and what we've been seeing, these pictures of the devastating bombardment that many of these cities approaching in Kyiv, buildings almost to rubble in some cases. So this has been playing out, and what we're seeing right now, in fact, throughout the last couple months of a push, and then a getting bogged down, the Russian troops getting bogged down, and we're hearing reports regarding generals and issues with them in enacting this aggression. Mixed messages coming out of from Russia, or between Russia and Ukraine. And again, we talked about this last week regarding what is propaganda, what is actually taking place there. And where I believe that you're probably seeing a little bit of both from both sides, from Zelensky and Putin, and but we do know that if you look at the buildings and the devastation that's happening, people trying to get out of those areas of bombings and missiles hitting buildings, and we see the other surrounding countries that are taking the Ukrainians in, and that is massive and a daunting task to help the Ukrainians at this point. So where are we at right now? And I guess I asked the question, we're hearing peace talks and this bogged down and so forth, but why is Putin just forging through, especially with all the pressure that he's receiving at home, and even from some of the generals that have had some issues. And again, I come back to, could this have been avoided? One, and we talked about the weakness that the world has been seeing from the U.S., primarily Biden, and there were some objectives that Putin wanted. And let's talk about those. One, Putin did not want Ukraine in as a NATO member, and that was one of the things that have been spoken about. And the other issue is that there have been issues surrounding the areas that are Russian speaking, that are really Russia supporters, in essence, there as part of the Ukraine. And that's where Biden, 2+ months ago, stated, well, if he encroaches just a little bit. Well, that little bit was those Russian supporting areas that actually the Ukraine government has been fighting in those areas before Russia moved in there. So I think those two areas have been been in question. And I believe that if this conflict gets to where they can get negotiations follow through, I think they're going to end up with exactly what Putin wanted to begin with. He wanted, and Zelensky's already talked about agreeing to not joining NATO. But I believe at the end of the day, Putin will probably move back to those areas that he wanted to take in the beginning, those Russian supporting area there. And Zelensky and the Ukraine not joining the NATO membership. So that's where we are. But if that does play out that way, look at the devastation that it took to get there when, again, there were deterrents, and we saw that. We saw that with Trump. We saw that with the a bit not signaling, go right ahead, you can go here, you can go there, instead of leaving nothing on the table and having a true deterrent. But what we see now is, if we can't, if our economy is failing, which we're seeing signs of that right now, can we be the supporter of everyone around the world, which, a lot of people think that the United States are, the global policeman. And, Trump wasn't about that, but Trump was about having our nation, America first, America strong, America having the ability to rise up and, if need be, straighten things out. And in this president that's shown weakness, we're seeing that, again, these bad actors are making aggressive moves. And it's not just Russia, it's not just Putin, but as I've mentioned before, we're seeing China, Xi Jinping, North Korea, Kim Jong-un. We're seeing, can you believe this? We're aggressively pushing back against Russia, and we're allowing them, Russia, to negotiate with Iran for us to get energy from them. And you can't make this up. Crazy, but that's where we're at with with the conflict. And again, it's playing out right now. They have been talking. We'll see how far and that it goes, and can they come to an agreement. Let's talk a little New York news. Mayor of New York City, Mayor Adams, has lifted all the COVID restrictions there in his city, New York City. What he's lifted is for pro sports, baseball, the NBA. And we talked about this, I believe it was last week, regarding Kyrie Irving. And, here he is. He can't play in New York City, but he can play at all the away games. And, because of this restriction, that all city employees have to get the jab. So, we see Kyrie Irving at one of the games in New York City as a fan, yucking it up with the fans in the stands. He's in the stands, no mask, having a good time. When his players, when his co-teammates come off the floor, he's up there hugging them and everything else. And you look at this picture and say, what is going on here? He can't play in a game. So just about a week or two ago, I think that Mayor Adams lifted that restriction. But what about the police? What about the firefighters in New York City? What about all the other city employees that still have that tyranny over their head that they have to get a jab? So it shows how nuts this is that's taking place. Not just in New York City, but that it's highlighted there. COVID stupidity is what we're seeing when it comes surrounding a lot of things that's taking place there. A little bit more on New York. The New York Public Library has, I guess this past week, ended the late fees it charged on books. Well, can you guess what happened? They were flooded with decade-old books that hadn't been returned, and they're all flooding back now. Kind of funny how that works, but that's what they've been reporting, that the New York libraries are getting inundated with all these books that were late, and people weren't returning them. Other news: employers, have sounded the alarm again when it comes to getting workers. Trying to get to hire and have people come in and work. Before we've had the incentive now, the Biden incentive not to work, paying people not to work. Well, now there's another problem. It's a 20-year high that this hasn't. The numbers haven't been this high. That people going in for a job, if they go for a drug test, they're failing it. Yeah, a 20-year high now of trying to fill potential employees going in, job application, interview, go take the drug test. Oop, can't fail it. Pot, cocaine, other stuff failing. So there's another problem highlighted. In fact, there a lot of employers right now are talking. Well, I guess maybe we just have to waive some of this stuff to get employees, in. The situation in many businesses are that bad. We'll take anybody. So. But that's dangerous, especially when you're talking about sensitive and critical jobs. But that's another dilemma that employers are finding to build their workforce. Let's talk about America's governor. Yes, let's talk about America's governor. Ron DeSantis in the news again, leading again for his state and the parents of his state. Ron has been receiving flack over these last couple weeks for the parental rights in education bill. Let me repeat that. Parental rights in education bill. But what have you heard from the woke liberal mob? Don't say gay bill. Nothing in there was saying don't say gay. But that's what you keep hearing, media after media outlet. No, it's parental rights in education bill. And what is that? Parental rights. Parents don't want to send their kindergartner, their first grader, second grader, third grader, and get indoctrinated about, what gender are you and sex education. That's what that bill is all about. Parental rights. And again, it speaks to what we're seeing, other states, Virginia. When we saw, when, in fact, not even Virginia, we're talking California there in San Francisco, school board members getting the boot for their left-leaning and how they're going to teach their kids about this, that, and the other. So, again, Ron DeSantis standing up for parents. And Disney had a lot to say that they were going to fight this bill, and they've been out front, and Governor DeSantis has been pushing back against them. As a matter of fact, now he's suggesting removing a 50-year-old law that allowed Disney to be self-governing, and like being able to putting in ordinances or regulations to building new buildings, and regulating some of their properties. They were given exclusive rights in their own to manage them, and also even to be able to charge certain fees / taxes regarding their facilities. But now the governor is looking to in his GOP-led government repeal the law. So Disney World and all of its properties would now be regulated by the Orange County and Osceola counties in Central Florida. So, hey, yes, Governor Ron, stand up for the parents and the parents' right in education. And again, Governor Ron DeSantis showing the nation what needs to be done, what some of these other so-called Republican governors needs to step forward. But at this point, I'd like us to take a look and to see some video clips here talking even more about what Governor Ron DeSantis has been doing surrounding standing up for the parents and pushing back against the woke mob. Take a look.